you. You slipped it on, not quietly, but full of joy. You display its wonder and possibility. This fits you. You are deeper, you are wiser, you are more beautiful than ever. Your soul is softer, your heart is big. This fits you. Your passion kindles countless fires that reach far beyond your own. This fits you. You face it full on, embracing the wild and the tame. Is not for the faint of heart. This fits you, and I'm so glad that you're mine. Your passion kindles countless fires that reach far beyond your own. This fits you. You face it full on, embracing the wild and the tame. Growing a life like this is not for the faint of heart. This fits you. This fits you. 50 fits you. And I'm so glad that you're mine. So very, very glad you're mine. You're mine. Very, very glad you're mine.
And that was 50 Fits You from her new CD, Talking Truth by the SeaWaves. Welcome to the show, Jeri.
Hi, Mary. Well, 50 fits you, too. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I can't believe I'm this old. It's great.
I know, but it gets better and better.
It does. It's great.
Let me tell you, someone, you could be my daughter almost.
Uh-oh.
So, I know. I mean, we don't need to have it be that way, but that's the way it is. I just want to make one quick comment. That song 50 Fits You was written and sung by Susan Alburn, not by me. She is one of the SeaWaves. There are 3 of us, and throughout the CD, the 17 songs, you will hear sometimes, a lot of times I'm singing because I wrote most of the songs, but Susan wrote 3 of the songs. Janet comes in with her strong voice on many of the verses, and the 3 of us are the guitarists and instrumentalists and musicians on the record, along with the trumpet player, Lauren Draper. She's been a professional trumpet player for a long time. She played with ISIS, maybe you've heard of.
Yes.
Deadly Nightshade, that has made a comeback in the last 2 or 3 years. and Radio City Music Hall Orchestra and Broadway, and she is an incredible trumpet player. So we've included her wonderful trumpet track in many of the songs, and flugelhorn, too.
Oh, beautiful. So tell us, Jeri, how you got into the music scene.
Okay. First, I just want your audience members to know a little bit about where I come from, too. Mm-hmm. I come from the middle of the middle of the middle. In other words, I come from the middle of Michigan and in a town called Midland, Michigan, in the Midwest. I can't come from a very conservative, Republican, Presbyterian family who were very, very generous and concerned that their kids get good educations. So I got many good gifts from them, although I had to transform myself out of the kind of milieu and the structures and strictures that I grew up in. I had a long journey getting to my music, which is why I wanted to kind of go back. Being a twin, I know now, it was a great defining factor in my life, because for the first 18 years, we were partners in essence. Uh-huh. My mother dressed us alike. Mom decided that's the way it should be. She thought it was wonderful to have these two lookalikes.
Were you identical?
We were not identical, okay, which was a saving grace. We still have the same gestures, even some of the same intonations.
Right.
But at the age of 18, we parted, and it was very painful to separate from your partner of 18 years. I ended up going to Smith College because I passed the exams. Uh-huh. My sister had more fun in high school, so she went to George Washington University. But it wasn't, I didn't understand really who I was until I got away from that home I grew up in. Uh-huh. And when I got away from my sister and always being compared, and just being on my own. And it was at Smith College that I took a sculpture course, and I made a little figure of a female figure in meditating. And that just zapped me into saying, I'm going to be a sculptor. Uh-huh. I'm going to carve out my oneness. I'm going to, make my own decisions, figure out what means something to me. And so that was the beginning of my journey into the arts. And it was through sculpture that I found my own music. And I'll briefly try to express how that became so.
But before you continue, Jeri, I want to tell our listeners that my guest today is Jeri Hilderley, producer and author and composer. Their new CD is Talking Truth, featuring Jeri Hilderley and the SeaWaves. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
So eventually, as I got more and more into sculpture and I went to California to study with, actually it turned out to be New York artists visiting Berkeley, but that was wonderful. And then getting an MA at Ann Arbor, U of Michigan. Uh-huh. Then when I went to New York, I had to find a way to show my work, because by then I was making huge wooden constructions of female figures. I like to say now they were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, which was a way for me to come out and being more myself through my sculpture work. But, for example, one image which I called The Arrival, a female figure which I carved out, uh-huh. I showed crashing through a stained glass window set inside a door. And this was a stained glass window from a church on Rikers Island. And the broken pieces of that stained glass were incorporated in the sculpture. So you had the feeling that you were seeing the moment of crashing through. And that, for me, was an image of move out, transform, get out of the Christian religion mm-hmm. and the constraints. And that was just one piece. And other pieces, similar but with strong female figures doing wonderful things. That got me into music, because soon my sculptured figures were playing strange instruments that I invented that, they look kind of like guitars and marimbas and so forth, but they were very unique. And what I was doing, and I didn't know I was doing it, was finding a way that I would create my own music, because I had grown up learning how to read music, learning the Bach inventions, learning Chopin, etudes and stuff. But no one said, sit down at the piano, dear, don't look at the music and just let's see how your fingers move on the keys. Let sounds come out of your voice. So it was only through my grandmother's guitar, which I picked up when I got tired from making these sculptures, and I started strumming and humming, and that was the beginning of my finding music. So.
And how old were you at this point?
Then I was about 23, and I was living in Hell's 100 Acres, which is now Soho, where all the artists went and took over the factory buildings.
Right.
And we started showing our work in our lofts. That was a political movement because the galleries were so expensive and so controlling. We said we don't need the middleman, just let people come and see our work. And from there, I started showing my work in what I call, it was happening. You've heard of the happenings of the 60s?
Oh, absolutely.
Luckily, I was there. I was here in New York, and we started combining painting, sculpture with music and dance. And the whole thing was there had to be movement. The audience had to take part. There was not this passivity of museums and galleries. And so I created what I called theater sculpture shows. The audience had to move around these big spaces where I had my sculptures and I had dancers acting around the sculptures as if they were a figure in a drama. And that got me into working with other artists. Then the mid-'60s come along. You had the civil rights movement opening up with the harsh facts of, for example, something that really set me on my toes was the murder of the 3 workers that had gone to Mississippi. Cheney, Warner, and Goodman. To be working in my studio alone and listening to WBAI and hear about these 3 young people my age who were working on voter registration to be murdered. There's something wrong here. And then along with the increasing news of the bombing of Vietnam.
Right.
So I know I'm going on and on, but I'm trying to get to something, which is that's when I started working with others in collectives and doing street theater and realizing that through the art. And this is pre the Women's Music Network, so we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
This is pre-women's liberation, which really opened up in the late 60s. And one pivotal moment, my theater group called, at that point, we separated from the men. Women of Burning City were performing at Goddard College for a NOW conference. And in the middle of our drumming and chanting, the Lavender Menace Dykes came screaming from the back of the auditorium and took over the whole stage and said, "You've been ignoring us, you NOW women. We are here and we're queer and we're part of this movement." And, that really was a point that we all started waking up to the lesbian force that was already so active and so at the forefront of politics. And then from then, gradually, I got more and more into doing music and working with women. And as I worked with women, I fell in love with them. So, which was very natural.
Well, sure, yeah.
As I said, the fact that I have a twin sister who is straight, she went on to have 4 kids, and then took on the life that means. We lived very different lives, but. So I never give up on my straight women friends. And,
there are a lot of straight women out there.
I get it, but I don't get it.
So, Jeri, at that time, all right, so the Lavender Menace burst into your consciousness.
Yes,
and now, that was the phrase that Betty Friedan used to put lesbians down and to separate them from mainstream now.
The phrase of what?
The Lavender Menace.
Oh, that, Well, she was off base. I'm sorry. She just didn't get it. But it was hostile. There was a lot of tension. And so then the women of Burning City became the Painted Women's Ritual Theater, and we just went on to create stories based on our own lives. We called it Moments of Pain, Moments of Gain. And started including more original songs and music within the context of a drama because, as you know, a song can kind of encapsulate an action, a feeling, a moment, and it's wonderful to have songs within plays. So the roots of my own music come from sculpture and theater, and luckily, this was now 1973, I met Kay Gardner, who was a very strong force. The mandalas, she made mandalas, and she was a classical trained flutist, and she told me I could make a record company, as many women were doing, taking charge. This was, the spirit of true feminism. No, we don't wait until the guy in the big company says, you're good enough now. No, we say, we are ready now to get our music out. That was the beginning to say, I'm going to be part of the Women's Music Network. I performed at many conferences. Some were politically oriented and some were more spiritual oriented. And I realized that I was impersonating the sculpture I had made earlier of a large female figure with a xylophone in front. I had to make an image first, and then I could become it.
So I'm very, very curious, Jeri Hilderley, how the sculpture translated into music or I mean, you've got one. I mean, sculpture is such a concrete, heavy. Almost immovable.
Yeah. What do I mean when I say it was sculpture that led me?
Yeah, because music is ethereal and fluid and.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you have a chance, they're not in CD form yet. The first LP I made in my first record company, which was called SeaWaveRecordings, was Jerry Treehouse of Many Colors, and I'm playing on this marimba. Uh-huh. And if you listen to the way I create music, you hear the physicality, the textural aspect, which for me came out of developing my senses through making sculpture and being aware of my body and the physicality of music. And also, I know what you're saying, but I said, no, but I think you can feel music. You can feel it in your gut and skin and all of that.
I was going to say that sculpture is also very tactile, and playing instruments is tactile.
That's right. That's right. Especially percussion instruments. Yeah. You feel like you're chiseling and chipping away on wood when you play on a xylophone or marimba or a drum. And I think I was out to just explore all parts of my body and get them all connected. So
was there one part of your body that really came alive? Arms, legs, back?
Belly? As I did music?
Yeah.
Fingers. Because, especially with the guitar.
Right.
Because each finger is important on either, damping a fret or stroking or strumming or plucking.
But then there's the vibration that you feel of the instrument against you.
Exactly. Yes, that's important. That's very important.
Very interesting.
To be connected to the instrument.
Yeah. If you've just tuned in, I'm speaking with Jeri Hilderley. I don't know how to describe you, Jeri, because you're so
I mean, I know I'm a person that has gone through several art forms. I am only a writer and a composer.
But a radical lesbian feminist?
And I didn't even get to that part.
But would you say you are now?
A radical lesbian feminist is there too, because how did I get to be that?
Yeah.
Well, as I said a little bit before, that working closely with women in the street theater groups, it was natural for me to want to, touch and be close and just as close as possible to who I was with.
Who were your heroes at the time, or your heroines at the time? Artistically.
Artistically? Wow. I was still loving some of the artists. Nina Simone comes to my mind.
Okay.
All right.
I love her work, yeah.
You watch her sing and play the piano and how she goes into herself deeply and she sings out from her soul. That was what I wanted to learn how to do.
And to do that, do you have to completely remove yourself from the audience, or do you have to move into the emotions of the audience?
That's a very, very good question, because I want to know what and who are the people I'm with and working with, and what do they need, Because as much as I was working to develop myself politically and creatively,
Right.
it's been important to bring others along with me in the sense of team and cooperation. So playing for an audience, you can't block out the audience. They'll know it. It's a gift you have to work on. Take in the energy and hope that it's good. And if someone's dissing you, but you take the best energy you can, and then you pull it into yourself. And if you've been doing meditation and deep breathing, you take deep breaths and you let it work inside your body for you. But you do have to focus on what are you doing now, right at the moment, as you play and sing. You do have to be in that process. So.
If you've just tuned in, my guest is Jeri Hilderley. We're talking about women's music, the lesbian feminist movement, the 70s.
Now I'm a retired teacher in both the New York City public schools. I taught 20 years to special ed kids, 14 to 21 years of age, and I did music with them and created curriculums called Learning the Language Art Through Music, and music was the hook in.
Let's get to one of the songs.
This would be a good time for Turnaround Sister, political uprising of women going to the Pentagon.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Turn around, sister, would you look at me, at the things I do, the things I see. It's our turn, sister, I've been looking for you 33 years or 32. I'm tired of being good at losing. Know what I like, I'm going to choose it. Turn around, sister, turn around, gal, and you're turning round. Could you look at me now? Look at me, I'm looking at you. Let's see what we can do. You are a turnaround sister. I think you're very beautiful. I think you're very extremely brilliant too. Extremely brilliant too. I've told you I'm amazed. I've told you I'm amazed by the work that you do. Work that you do. I've told you I would hold you if you gave me the chance. But did I ever tell you I'd love to dance with, I'd love to dance with you? Can you unwind me in a turnaround dance? Give me a glance or two. You've turned my love in your direction. Sure, I'll hold up well under your inspection, because I know how to turn around with you. Round, round, circles on the ground. You're jumping up when I'm jumping down. Hey, it's fun turning round with you. La, 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 la. Turn around, sister, with the stars in your eyes. Turn around, sister, we can gaze at the skies together. Turn around, sister, let's see what we can do. Appreciate me, I'll appreciate you. You turn my love in your direction. You certainly can have my protection, because I'm all wound up from loving you. Could you unwind me in a turnaround dance? Give me a glance or two. You I know how to turn around with you.
On this planet,
Circles all around. You're jumping up, but I'm jumping down. Hey, it's fun turning around with you.
on this planet,
Circles
are
all
turning.
around.
On this planet, we
I'm
are
jumping
yearning.
down.
On this
Hey, it's fun
we
turning
are
around with you.
on this planet.
On this planet,
On this
circles all
planet,
around.
on this
Turning, 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 turning round.
You are listening to WGDR Plainfield 91.1 FM and WGDH Hardwick 91.7 FM, Goddard College Community Radio.
What happened at this late 70s women's gathering at the Pentagon is that the women, hundreds if not thousands, we made a circle of ourselves around the Pentagon, and we all had yarn. We all had balls of yarn, and we wove this incredible rope of colors around the Pentagon. I know it sounds mystical and stuff, but
No, it's fabulous. Was this the action that Grace Paley was at?
she was at,
Okay.
yes, she was the speaker.
All right, so Cora Brooks was there and quite a few Vermont women.
Yes, and I'm trying for the CD, packaging itself, we're trying to get images that speak real history that some of these songs are based on, and I'm trying to get a photo from that march of this happening, and all I can get is a quick glimpse from a video, and so I'm still working because it was a powerful moment.
What color was the yarn?
All colors, and of
All
course
colors.
purple, a lot of purple. But the other thing that was happening, which is funny, some of us hooked into our real primal energy, and we peed on the Pentagon while others were weaving, and I thought, what a
Pee and
great
weave.
idea.
Yeah,
A
pee and
pee-in. We need all the women in this country, if we came out, but where should we pee first? I mean, there's so many places that we have to
And they
address.
didn't arrest you?
No, I mean, we were hidden by the circling women with their yarn. Oh, how nice. Look what the ladies are doing. But it was the thing of one circle was going one way, the other circle was going the other way. And it was like, it became a definite weaving in and out. So from that I got the idea not only of this continual circling, but of you're jumping up while I'm jumping down. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Keep on doing it. It's a dance. It's like a giant political festive rondo of lesbian feminists, And that is part of the energy that was definitely present in the 70s with the women's movement, which I miss and would like again at these music and spirituality conferences.
Yeah.
We moved, we danced, we sang, we chanted to the goddess. The goddess is alive, the goddess is afoot. We got our energies way up there.
I've never actually broached this with anyone on the air, but I'm so curious about general attitudes towards women's movements, the women's movement, and in particular, the art that came out of that movement. And I'll go even closer and say the music that came out of that era. There seems to have been a lot of mocking of it.
Isn't there always when the anti-powers see the power that we are gathering? They have to put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in particular of a guy I used to know, and he would describe Chris Williamson's song as filling up and puking over.
Oh my gosh!
And I thought when he said that, he thought it was funny, but I thought it was really misogynist and mean-spirited.
It definitely, there's no doubt about it.
But it seems
the guy
that
was
it has
green
always,
with envy. Come on.
That it was pretty easy for people to make fun of this music, but as you said earlier, that your music in particular it comes out of your theater experience. So you really feel like you're in a theater when you're listening to it.
Yeah, it's more encompassing.
So it's not meant to be anything else.
You mean it's not meant to be a political
No, it's
activist?
not. It's not meant to be glossy and slick and.
Oh no.
It's deliberate that it's so almost simplistic, actually.
Yeah.
But that's deliberate.
It's feeling. It's it's just how people are. It's not couching. My voice. People have said, "Oh, your voice is interesting." On the record.
Right, but Bob Dylan can't.
So many colors.
They said Bob Dylan couldn't sing anyway. They said a lot of guys couldn't sing. Just because they didn't like their voice or because the voice wasn't what we traditionally had heard.
Right. Well, for me, what is important is courage and to sing out with whatever voice. I have classes and groups of women, and of course through the years with my students. Saying they would say, "I can't sing." "Oh no, you don't want to hear my voice." I said, "I do. I want to hear your voice." And we're going to start out not worrying about a melody and being in key. We're going to chant,
right?
And you're going to make your sounds, and it's going to be your voice, and you're going to learn to love and appreciate how you sound when you intone. When you push it out. So. I'm sorry, that guy. I'd like to. Could you give me the phone number of that guy? I mean, that you can put down just about anything. How many people said Bob Dylan sounded like an old man?
Well, look at Tom. I mean, ever listen to Tom Waits?
Familiar name, and I probably should have, but
he always sounds like this.
But yeah, he sells a lot of records. He's big in Japan and everything.
Yeah.
So it's more than what you're talking about, what you're doing, and what you're creating is something different.
Yeah, but look what happened to the feminist movement. How feminism, even the word feminism, forget about lesbianism.
I know.
Became a bad word. The need to be connected, to be not isolated and criticized is so powerful in our society. That controls us and controls the image. And, of course, there was a strong reaction to the Women's Music Network. Well, when we started making records and started making money and started having huge concerts, when you, I asked you, well, what are we going to talk about?
Everything.
And you said, you told me, who are you? What do you do? What's your music like? What's your CD? And I want to know about it in terms of lesbian feminism. So you asking that made me rethink once more again. What does lesbian feminism mean to me? It's a living, breathing definition to illuminate. It is not a label.
Right.
When it becomes a label, we feel isolated and limited. So, start out saying, I am a lesbian, meaning I have intimate, sensual, sexual, creative, spiritual, political connections with women. I have not been exclusively lesbian all my life. I have been heterosexual, meaning I've had one long-term, intimate, sexual, sensual, creative, political connection with a man who worked with me in our doing the street theater and doing a publication with the SDS students called CAW. And the important aspect of our relationship was that though we were married, we never spoke of each other as our husband or wife. And this is a very interesting fact relating to what, is happening now with gay couples.
Right.
But it's like, no, don't call me your wife. Don't call me, I won't call you your husband. And we did have, oh yes, as everybody says about the 60s, open relationship. But we still were very connected and dedicated to each other, but we grew each other. We grew through each other. And I realized that even though I was connected in a real way with him, I still needed to be connected to women. So there was a period of being bisexual until that became very hard. You know, to have more than one really deep, committed relationship at the same time is very difficult.
It's exhausting.
So I took myself on the mountaintop and said, who am I, what am I? I said, okay, I'm going to come out to Mom, Dad. I'm going to say, I've been lovers with women. I'm no longer with Jerome Badana's fellow's name. But anyway, when I tried to talk to my parents, my father just blanked out, and my mother, in her very sly, clever way, said, what? You're a lesbian? So,
wow.
You know, there I said, oh my gosh, I'm trying to be honest and truthful, authentic. Don't just start with your family. This thing about labels is a very tricky business. Oh, feminism? Oh, yeah. And that is exactly what the system has done to squelch women for coming and rising up and daring to say their names and daring to be who they are. I mean, you know, that's what our system does to us over and over. And we each decade we have to come out again. So I am happy that some people listen to this CD, Talking Truth, and say, oh, that sounds like the 70s. And I said, well, there is the 70s spirit in there, but we're now in 2012, and we need that same closeness, ecstatic energy between sisters. You know,
it's also a way to reconnect with our heritage, with her story. Now, when Julie first suggested that you get in contact with me to come on the show, I said, I said, oh, I don't know, Julie, 70s music, but, and then I get the CD, and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, all right, this brings back that, and this brings back this, and. It reconnected me with those. It reconnected me emotionally with those days. So I really appreciated it.
That's good, then, right? You're saying that's good.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's terrific. The things that we have resistance to at times turn out to be a very different experience when we stop resisting.
Yes.
But you know what song I also liked very much? The Spanish, Gracias a la Vida.
Yes, that was very important.
Now, what's the story of this song? I want to play that one.
It's important because I first saw this very song in an issue of Sing Out magazine. Sing Out magazine was co-founded by Pete Seeger. Now, you asked me who are some of my heroes. Well, he's a man, but Pete Seeger, definitely. Yep. He's 93, and he's still singing strong. And Malvina Reynolds is another hero. She died at the age of 78, but she started singing at like 50 or such a thing.
I haven't heard that name in years.
All right, you can go on, of course, on YouTube. You can hear anybody you want, but Malvina Reynolds, she was Jewish and a socialist, outspoken, and she just picked up her guitar and started traveling all around this country singing and amazed and thrilled so many people. But anyway, they both have been in the Sing Out magazine. So I'm looking for songs to sing with my students, and because most of my students were either Hispanic, Black, Chinese, or Asian, I had to work with many languages, and I said, this one is haunting. And it's all about appreciating language and the alphabet. Some of my students were still working with writing the alphabet, okay?
But New York City's in the background.
I taught this song to my students, and I knew that this would be a song that would stay with me. So if you want to look up Violeta Parra, was an incredible force in her own right in Chile, gathering the folk music and making the Chileans proud of their culture. Just at a time when Hollywood was pushing its music onto South America countries. And she said, no, we've got the music, we've got the language and the culture here. And then after she wrote this song, she killed herself. So,
are you familiar with Mercedes Sosa?
Yes.
I love her work.
She sings this song beautifully. She and Joan Baez.
Okay.
So
okay.
You have heard this song probably sung by Mercedes.
Yeah, I probably have. I'll have to dig out my CD. I do have have that CD. So let's play this one.
Okay, that'd be lovely.
All right. So and who's singing? Who's singing and playing on this?
This is I'm singing, and Susan Alburn is playing the guitar. We decided to keep it very simple.
Okay. All right. So this is Gracias a la Vida.
Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio dos luceros que cuando los abro perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado y en las multitudes la mujer que amo. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el oído que en todo su ancho traba noche y día, grillos y canarios, partidos, turbinas, ladridos, chubascos y la voz tan tierna de mi bien amada. Thanks to life, which has given me so much. It has given me sound and the alphabet. And without that, no words to think and to speak. Mother, friend, brother, and the light that brightens the path of the soul of the one I am loving. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario con las palabras que pienso y declaro. Madre, amigo, hermano y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida, gracias a la vida.
Okay. If you've just tuned in, listeners, my guest is Jeri Hilderley. That's JeriHilderley. And she is a lesbian feminist artist, activist, educator, and now happily retired in New York City, right?
Yes, on the Upper West Side.
I could hear it.
You could hear the Upper West Side?
Oh, yeah. We could
What do you hear?
Sirens.
Oh, my gosh.
Children playing.
Yes, there's a school right out my windows.
What song do you particularly like on the CD?
Okay.
Your favorite?
That's a hard one, but I also want to have a space of time to tell you who all has worked on this CD.
Yes,
and who we are and all of that. But you want a song now?
No, tell us, talk about the CD. Who is on it?
Okay. Well, our name is the SeaWaves, and it took us a while to figure out what our name was.
Okay.
First, we were the Gay Gray Blades.
I like that.
Oh, I should have put it out for a vote, but reason we came up, we said the SeaWaves is because the company that I founded in the 70s was SeaWaveRecordings, because I had a song called SeaWave because the power of la mer, ocean, the ocean, was very important to all of us feminist lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized I wanted to make a recording studio, which is different than just having a label, it means working with software in which you can record with an interface. You know, you plug your mics and your instruments into an interface that then goes into the computer software, and I use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want musicians, including ourselves and those we work with, to be able to see the music. I had to learn finale scoring. So anyway, this process had to be developed before we could put out this more elaborate CD. I put out a CD when I first made it, my studio, called 12 Meditations on Love, and that's where I first introduced the two women I work with now, Janet Mays and Susan Auburn. Janet Mays is my partner.
Now, on the blog picture, that's her on the left.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's Janet. We met online on Concerned Singles. I do recommend, and I don't work for them. They are not paying me, but Concerned Singles is great for older people, educator, political activists, therapists, psychologists, caring people. That's why it's called Concerned. And you do not have to have a photograph of yourself looking 10 years younger. You know, you can just be yourself. Anyway, sideline that was. But how thrilled I was to meet Janet 6 years ago on Concerned Singles. Lo and behold, if she wasn't, she's a full-time therapist. She does talk therapy, hence the song Talk to Me. I am bow down to therapists and that whole profession of healing arts, because it is so important for all of us to have someone who listens to us. Okay.
Come, tell me your tale. Sit by my side and take your time. Would you like some wine? Outside a glorious sunset, inside our expected goodbyes. But until we prepare for separate journeys, talk to me, dear. This is our time to share ourselves, to open up. I'm listening. How were you hurt? When denied? Was it a love? An idea denied? Why is it so hard to talk to me? Look into my eyes and trust me, trust me. Open your heart to me, to me. I'm listening. ourselves to open up. I'm listening. How were you hurt when denied? Was it a love, an idea denied? Why is it so hard to talk to me? Look into my eyes and trust me, trust me. Open your heart to me. I'm listening. I'm listening. Outside a glorious sunset, inside our expected goodbyes. But until we prepare for our separate journeys, talk to me, dear. Talk to me, dear. Talk to
My guest today is Jeri Hilderley, producer and author and composer. Their new CD is Talking Truth, featuring Jeri Hilderley and the SeaWaves. You're listening to WGDR Plainfield 91.1 FM and WGDH Hardwick 91.7 FM, Goddard College Community Radio.
How thrilled I was to meet Janet. But she was a rock drummer in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. She had classical piano training, then classical timpanist training, very unusual for a woman.
I love
a young woman, 5 foot 1 inch tall, behind
timpani.
Where's the timpanist? You couldn't see her. But she was there, and she studied with a grand timpanist teacher, Morris Goldenberg, at the Juilliard Prep and Performing Arts in New York City. But when she met me, she heard me singing at the Gay and Lesbian Center a song I have sung since the 60s, For the Good of All. That's something I'll talk about later, but it is on this CD. Anyway, she said, I want to sing with that woman. She picked up the electric bass. We talked, we met, we played together, and the rest is history. And she is a wonderful woman to be working with. She is very good on web work, so she can work on our website, whenever that needs doing. I do the technical work around Pro Tools and the finale, but I can't do it all. It's way overwhelming. Okay, so that's Janet, and also I just want to quickly add that she's very involved with International Action Center, and I've dedicated two of my songs to this group of activists, politicals. It was Ramsey Clark who started this organization, and it brings together all kinds of groups: women, lesbians, trans, students, immigrant workers organizations, and they are always on target when there's some issue of injustice, and they're out marching, and that's where I get my exercise. I go with Janet and march. So that said, I can go on now to Susan Auburn. Okay, she is who you thought was me. But she has a sweeter voice than I do, and perhaps even stays in tune more than I do. She wrote the song 50s Fit You, and we started working about 8 years ago. I met her on a beach in Sag Harbor, and she said, I need to play guitar with somebody or I'm going to go nuts. I said, send me some tapes of your songs. I'll send you mine. And then we just started meeting. We played and had fun together, but we formed a quartet at that time called Some Folks and played gigs at Sage. When I say Sage, is that a term that you know?
Sage, the older lesbians. What does it actually stand for? It's
Senior Action Gay Environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan.
Okay, well, they're very active here. They have a wonderful news center.
Now, they've been around since the 80s.
At least. I thought it was longer, but you know what? I'd have to check that out. But
I can always Google it.
okay.
I'll Google it while you're talking.
Okay.
But listen, what
good.
happened? All right, so
we were playing for Sage in nursing homes and lesbian gatherings, and I have to give her a little bit of her history because they aren't here with me. Now, this is a big thing that I am in a group called the SeaWaves, and I'm alone giving this interview. This feels weird for me. You know, I'm a team player. And so maybe when our CD comes out, when we're out there performing, maybe we can all talk with you.
okay. All right, listen.
I mean, if you have space on your wonderful program. She was trained as a clarinet player. She recorded her original compositions at Harborside Studio. She was already recording her songs. She studied piano at the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music, and she's been playing the guitar since she's 15. Okay, that's Susan.
Okay.
Now, I'll just continue quickly without, I hope, boring you or the listeners. Hello, listeners. I do sense you out there. Believe me. I can't see you, but I know you're there.
I think they're enjoying it, quite frankly.
Oh, thank heavens! This is a unique experience for me. I've never, talked on the telephone to a group, a crowd, of people. I don't see you, but I feel you. Okay, all right. So then we go on to Lauren Draper, trumpet and flugelhorn player. I've talked about her work with ISIS and Deadly Nightshade. An interesting fact about her performance is we're going to play I'm No Fool because you said you liked it.
Yes.
Well, she recorded about 4 tracks, and I was thinking I'm going to pick the best track. Well, what I did is I picked all 4 so I could have like a little quartet of trumpets. She said, that's odd. I said, well, I think it's great.
1, 2, 3. Loving you like I do, I'm no fool. You make me feel so glad to be alive. You make the flowers bloom inside me, I'm no fool. You bring the laughter into my eyes after a long winter of crying. I do. Show me, and I will show you. Hold me, and I will hold you, my love. I might be crazy, like bloom and daisies, but I'm no fool. I'm just so in love. We see the stars above us being here with you.
close and rock me gently, spin and glide and kiss me tenderly, for fools were meant to weave a garland of joy and light and healing and energy. You'll bring the magic, the laughter, and that's just what I'm after in my life. I might be crazy, like a bloomin' daisy. I might be hazy, like a morning maze, but I'm no fool. I'm just so in love with see the stars above us being here with you. I'm just so in love with see the stars above us being here with you. Oh, let's be fools. I wanna be a fool with you.
Okay, and then who else do we have on this? Okay, you will be interested to know that the sound engineer is a guy. Now, I have always had Marilyn Reese of Reese Sound. She was a hero in the 70s music, talking about what that was like, because she was a woman sound engineer par excellence.
Wow.
And it's her recording all of us singers and getting our music out. And you know how the woman in the back room doesn't get the credit they deserve.
Right.
So I'm always saying Marilyn Reese knew how to record a marimba, and that's just the beginning. Anyway, she and her partner, Sorrel Hayes, a fantastic opera composer starting in the 70s, moved to Georgia. They used to live a block away, and I had my pals, in the same music business as me, and then they moved far away, so I had to find who I could find. Well, I found a phenomenal guy, Bruce McPherson, who was the sound engineer, consultant, mix master, working with me, hands-on together, and also the whole Susan and Janet. We listened to every mix and said, no, you got to bring up that flugelhorn. No, you got to bring up the voice. Oh no, the two harmonizers are not in sync. We listen. When you make a CD, you spend 3/4 of your time listening to it and praying. Anyway, he also is a keyboardist and played with famous guys and women. Who did he play with? Oh, Leslie Gore, one person. Is that a name familiar to you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's my party. It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to.
Yes, okay. Well, he was the keyboardist and probably a recording engineer with her. And Fleetwood Mac, he played with them. And he's just so multi-talented that I felt and feel happy. He said, do you need any help with this, radio interview? And I said, no, I think I can handle it, because we didn't know whether you made podcasts, and I very much want and need, so I can get, this interview out to lots more people who could listen this afternoon, and he was going to help me. So he's a good guy to work with. And then we have a photographer who's trying to do an interesting photo of the three of us coming out of the sea. You can't be called the SeaWaves
and
without
not be coming out of the ocean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do it. It's probably going to have to be an overlay. Then we have Lalonde Schoenstein, who's the graphic designer. We have We have Pat Cox, who is a publicist, who's helping us. How do you reach out? The whole idea of getting pre-release reviews,
Right.
like we got. Julie sent us a lovely one.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was so touched. And did she tell you what she said about us?
No, she did not.
Well, she said, get a cup of herbal tea or organic coffee, sit down in a comfortable chair, and be ready to have a wonder evening with the SeaWaves, who bring back the power of feminist lesbian music, political words through song. I mean, something just
of course,
something.
as a scholar of lesbians in the 70s,
Yeah.
she is very interested in stuff like this.
Wow. I mean, I extend the invitation to you, Mary.
Yes.
If you want to send a one-word, unique or something,
one
whatever,
word?
or revitalizing or whatever, if you want to send a review, we're going to put them on our packaging.
Okay.
You know, that'd be
can
lovely.
I will do that. Can we go back to, because I don't want to forget this. We had mentioned SAGE, and it's a very important organization.
Okay, will you please
No,
tell
I just want to
me
say
and
that
others about it?
It's the country's largest and oldest organization dedicated to improving the lives of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender older adults.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the kids have to go to the youth groups, and we go to SAGE.
That's right.
That's how that works. And their organization is SAGE.
And they're lively. I mean, they're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. They are fun. Okay. I just wanted to get that in.
Thank you, because we'll probably be doing the our party, coming out party for the CD at Sage, and I've already told Julie that we would be selling Sinister Wisdom on our table there.
Good. And we're having that fund drive on Indiegogo.
Oh, yes. If you want to take a second and tell everybody, because I've been telling everybody about it. Did you want to say anything more about it?
Well, we're coming out with a 87th issue that is dedicated to Audrey and Rich.
Yeah.
And it has an incredible array of writers in there. But anyway, so we figured we should do a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to raise $8,700. We are getting donations, so it is working. But if you go to Indiegogo.com and put a search in for Sinister Wisdom, it'll come right up, and you can make your donation. There are some premiums for some of them, and it's really exciting to be involved in this.
It is, and I understand that you're getting a good show already.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, that's great.
We absolutely are.
Well, I can tell you that I carry my latest a copy of Sinister Wisdom in my bag all the time. I don't know whether I think it's like a lucky, lucky charm or what, but I also read it,
Well, that last issue is hot, quite frankly.
Yes, it is. There it is. It's very hot. It stimulates. It's good.
And it's entitled Ignite.
And it does.
So it's a good one. All right, back to Jeri Hilderley. What song?
I'd like to be able to do, if you allow me, 2 more songs.
Okay.
One, Reach Out, and this will feature, we have guest singers and musicians join us at times.
Okay.
And on this one, you will hear Naomi Cohen Goldstein, lead voice, although there's the 3 of us singing behind her.
Okay.
And this came out of my attending an annual Workers' World Conference where, as one of the speakers, they're all very articulate, but brought to our attention a quote by Che Guevara, which was, "Solidarity is the tenderness of the people." And hearing the combination of tenderness with such a strong political term, solidarity, just ripped my heart open. I said, this is a song composed from that influence.
Okay.
Reach Out.
Okay. And that's track 12. Okay.
sister, let's unite. Aren't we needy all tonight, tonight? Tenderness is sharing, breaking down the walls. Tenderness is caring. Reach out, reach out. Marching hand in hand for a better life. Working side by side, our fists, our hearts, our hopes, we raise in solidarity, in tender solidarity tonight. Tenderness is sharing, breaking down the walls. Tenderness is caring. Reach out, reach out. Marching hand in hand for a better life. Working side by side, our fists, our hearts, our hopes, we raise in solidarity, in tender solidarity tonight. We are reaching out for a better life, working side by side tonight, tonight. Reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out.
My guest today is Jeri Hilderley, producer and author and composer. Their new CD is Talking Truth, featuring Jeri Hilderley and the SeaWaves. You're listening to WGDR Plainfield 91.1 FM and WGDH Hardwick 91.7 FM, Goddard College Community Radio.